Hey there guys, I'm the Wii552 and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the DSO Nano version 2 and maybe show you guys a bit on how you use it. Okay? Here we go. So, the first thing is, this is the Nano itself, and you'll have to install the BenF firmware on it, and you'll see that, and that's shown in my other tutorial. And for the file saving stuff, you need a normal SD, can't be SDHC, well, micro SD card. I've got this little 1 gigabyte one, and so if you get this, the contact pads face up, and they just go in, and it just goes into this little slot right here. Okay, now it'll have this little stand it'll come with if you have the version 2, and I'm just going to keep the Nano in here for this tutorial just so you can see it better. It'll come with this nice case, which I like. I keep it in there, and it'll have these clip probes with the little connector and these that you can plug into regular. And we're going to be using both of these for the tutorial. So turn on the Nano. And I'm just going to move the camera a bit so you can see this better. Okay. So you'll get to this screen in just a matter of seconds. And first let's center the trace right in the middle. So go to Y-axis, ground position. Just set it to the center like that. And then we'll want to set the trigger level, so trigger level, and then set that to about there. And if you don't know what any of this means, I'll explain it to you in a little bit later. So now we need a signal to read. First, let's start with just the internal test signal that it has built in. So you'll see on the back, there's 2 jacks there, and they're labeled probe and signal generator. The bottom one is the one with the signal generator. So I use these little probes, plug them in there, and then plug the clips into the top one, and then touch both of these. So this one is ground, this one is signal then. So you clip that on, and then you can see the waveform here. And here it'll tell you the frequency, and you can change the measurement by going to the ME menu, and you can set it like this, or you can bring up all the measurements and view them all at once. Now, if you go to this next one, for FR frequency, you can change what the signal is, and you can change the duty cycle. So right now I'm changing the duty cycle of the internal signal. It'll go to 100% down to 0%. So I'm just going to set this to about 50. That's good enough. Now if we go to frequency, you can set it to whatever you want. Let's set it to 6 kilohertz. Now you'll want to go into the time division setting, and then set that, whatever. This one's at 20 microseconds of division. Right now it's reading us the duty cycle. If we go in here, let's see, frequency 6 kilohertz. Sounds good. Now, I'm going to get a little signal generator. Okay. I've got this Elenco function generator kit. So I'm just setting all the settings to minimum. Now we'll disconnect this test signal. Okay. Clip the black probe to the ground of your signal. And then this white one will hook it up to the sine and triangle wave output, so just like that. Clip this in. Turn this on. And then I'll just be adjusting the settings over here. So we'll turn up the amplitude. And then going, put time. Let's set this to about 500 microseconds. Y, ground position, about there. Trigger, level, set it to about there. Now I'll turn up the frequency. So there, and you've got, of course, the measurement in the corner, or if you can't read it, it says 176 hertz. So I'll take that down 1K, and then we can, of course, set this to whatever frequency we want. And I've checked this with a higher bandwidth oscilloscope, my analog scope, and this function generator outputs some perfect like sine waves and stuff. And I'll show you the aliasing. So if we set this to, say 1 microsecond per division, set this all the way to the 1 megahertz scale. Turn this up. You can see how the wave no longer looks proper. And this is because of aliasing. So it's just looking like here is one sample, and then here's another sample, and it's just drawing a straight line, and that's why it appears like that. And I can turn the frequency up to amplitude. And triangle wave is the same, and the square wave is too. Now, if we turn this down, set this to about here, amplitude down, so you can read. You can successfully read up to probably a couple hundred kilohertz. So if I turn this down, you can tell that's a sinusoid, but as I turn this up, it gets all ugly. Triangle waves look better. So yeah, to about 300 kilohertz maybe, you can kind of tell what it is. Under about 100, it looks beautiful. So that's the basics of using the DSO Nano. Now let's talk about some. Okay, so now let's talk about some memory functions. So just set the time scale to, let's say, 200 microseconds of division. I'll set this to a 1 kilohertz sinusoid. Okay? Now to save a waveform, there's two ways you can do this in this firmware. One is, well, there's a few ways, but you can save it as a bitmap, and I'll save this right now as 001.bitmap, so hit OK, set that, and then just hit the B button on the top. It'll save it. And that's like a screenshot. Now, we can't load that in here, so if you go to Save Ref, I'll set this again to 001, hit B. If it goes up to the next number, then that means the save was successful. And if we go into Load, 001, hit B again, load OK, and then it'll get overlaid over top. Now if I say half the frequency to 500 hertz, you can see like that, or if I double it to 2 kilohertz, you can see that, or a triangle, you can see stuff like that. See? So, since this is not a 2-channel oscilloscope, this may be helpful. Now I can, and then you can compare like amplitudes and stuff. But yeah. So yeah, that's how you use the save function. Now I'll take a screenshot of this, and I'll put that on the screen right now, so you can see all the things in detail. Now, I'll show you now. How about trigger mode? Okay. So I'll get rid of this reference thing. Oh, what's that? Okay, get rid of that. So let's see. If we go into the trigger menu, set to trigger kind, let's just adjust this frequency to, yeah. If you set it to falling edge, you can see it starts and then it triggers when it's like a falling edge, and then if you set it to rising edge, it's the other way around. And you can tell what kind of trigger it is in the top right corner, and I'll show you that. And if I just save this, okay, so you can see what I'm talking about in the corner. Now, if you see the word auto, you can change that to different settings. So if you go trigger mode, you can adjust that to auto, single, so that means it'll only trigger once. You can set it to trigger using the A button on the top. I'm not sure what the equivalent of that is on the version 1 Nano. Now, this is good if you have a thing that will only fire once. So see, it's at single, and the little arrow is red if you can see that. Now I'll quickly turn my generator on and off, and the wave gets captured right there, even though it's turned off. And then adjusting this stuff makes no difference until you tell it to fire down. So we'll just set it like that. Okay, just quickly pulse this on and off. You can see it captures it like that. So this is good if you're like debugging serial data or something like that. You've got your trigger sensitivity, so you can see those two green bars there. These two green bars. That's the sensitivity. So you can change if something triggers within that range, then it'll go. It'll activate. Now trigger level, all it does is it adjusts the level of those sensitivity things. Okay. Now there's a couple other kinds of trigger. You've got single normal, which is just like a standard trigger, like on an old analog scope. If you have it in the really low or the high time division settings, like maybe 1 or 2 seconds of division, it'll go into sweep mode. But I'll show you, so if I set the time to or scan, so you can see it says scan in the corner. Now if I turn the frequency way, way, way down, let's see. So you can see it's sweeping, it's in or scan mode, and this is just, it's scanning along, so this is in the lower ones, and it just holds whichever beyond that. So if I just change the time division to set it to say 2 milliseconds, 1K, sure. Okay. So there's another setting in the trigger. Now, I don't really like this, but if you hit the B button in trigger mode, it'll set it to fit, which tries and usually fails to fit the trace on your screen and change the trigger and stuff. But I don't really like that, so just change trigger level. And I like manual much better. Now, there's also some cursors. So if you don't want to use the built-in measurement functions, you can use these cursors it has. So if you go into the Y-axis menu, hit OK to go in there, or M, I believe, on the version 1 Nano. You can set V1 cursor or V2 cursor. So we'll set V1 and set to say the top, and then V2 to the bottom. Like this, see those? And then you can, and then it'll tell you right here, if you, in delta V, right there, in the bottom corner, the voltage, and then in the x-axis menu, you can change the time ones, so they're horizontal, so you can set it to say here, or say the top to the bottom, and then time 2 cursor, and then set that one to right there. And you can see the period of the wave is the delta time. So you can see the horizontal bars are the voltage and the vertical bars are the time. And then in the bottom corners, it'll tell you measurements. Now, that's about it, I think. Let's see. But there's voltage, time. Let's see what this stuff does. I'm not even sure. Oh, buffer settings, right. And then we set it to like way in here. Turn up that. So I'll just set that back. Oh, and then if you want to set, okay, if we get the time way out, okay, let's set it, okay, that's good. You can, if you pause it by pushing the A button right here, it'll stop the signal, so it gets in the held mode, and then if you go into the x-axis trigger position, you can move the wave left and right. So this is good if you have, like, say, serial data, and you want to look at it and just look along. You can do this. One of the little quirks with the saving waves function is that you can't move them up and down. So say we load one, and the time scale is the same. You can't adjust it. So if we load or show, you can see it's probably a different group, and we can run this and try and see if we can get the X. And then frequency. Yeah, so you can see, and then if you go in here, you can't move that wave up and down or left and right. So you have to kind of think ahead. So if you want to have one at the bottom, one at the top, you have to save one at the bottom and one saved at the top. It might be different what the firmware gives you, but this is a little problem with this BNF. But other than that, I can't, it's much better than the stuff it comes with. If we go into the measurement thing, if we set it to voltage average, I'll just show you the corner here, and then I'll tell you what I have it set to. So the average voltage is 4.32 volts, and if we change the amplitude, changes. But there is a DC offset here too, so that's probably what it is. Now if we set this to frequency, duty cycle, it's a sine wave, so we can't really measure that. RMS voltage. Oh, my battery's dying. Yeah, I'm going to stop this now. Thank you guys for watching. My battery is officially dead. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, rate, and comment so you can see the next part where the battery's charged. Bye.